With SRN News, I'm Gordon Griffin. Republican Representative Mike McCall of Texas says the House needs to pass a wide-ranging immigration bill this week. The House Homeland Security Secretary says more controls need to be in place at the border.
Congress needs to act to close the legal loopholes that incentivize the coyotes to bring these children into the United States. And if we don't do that, we're going to see this scenario, this human tragedy, play out over and over again.
McCall appeared earlier today on Fox News Sunday. The Justice Department says it's given House Republicans some long-sought documents related to the Russia investigation.
That after GOP lawmakers threatened to hold officials in contempt. A spokeswoman for Speaker Paul Ryan says the department partially complied. House Republicans gave the department a Friday deadline for all of the documents, but a Ryan spokeswoman says the department asked for more time on some of those documents, and the request seems reasonable. The latest actions appear to at least temporarily defuse a months-long standoff with Congress.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines reporting. Also at SRNnews.com, authorities say 2 officers who were wounded when a man opened fire at a San Diego condominium are expected to recover. Police Chief David Nislight told reporters Sunday that both male officers were stable, one in serious condition, the other with less serious injuries. The San Diego Union-Tribune reports that officers responding to a report of a violent disturbance got no response to a knock at the door and were met with gunfire when they forced it open. Turkey's National Election Board has pronounced incumbent President Recep Tayyip Erdogan as the winner of this country's presidential election with an absolute majority of valid votes. Speaking early Monday, the head of the Supreme Election Council said 97.7% of votes had been counted. He said that the remaining votes would not affect the outcome of Erdogan's re-election. This is SRN News. A Christian legal group takes on PC culture at FSU.
Alliance Defending Freedom is warning officials at Florida State University about a policy that bars students from using, quote, offensive language and treating individuals unequally because of their sex. ADF attorneys point out that the language is vague and would violate the Constitution if it's enforced. The legal group also says the school needs to drop another policy which relegates student speech to a few small areas on the campus. Michael Harrington, SRN News.
Officials in South Africa report a sudden flare-up of anti-Semitism. In one case, a group of Jewish passengers were accosted at the airport in Johannesburg by a man who shouted anti-Semitic slurs. Elsewhere in the city, someone painted a mural on a wall featuring a German flag and a swastika. The South Africa Jewish Board of Deputies says there's also been an uptick in anti-Semitic rhetoric on social media. This is SRN News. The average price of a regular gallon of gasoline fell 6 cents over the past 2 weeks to $2.95. It's nearly that's the first drop in nearly 4 months. Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg warns that the decline could be temporary.
The market expected a bigger supply increase than is probably going to actually ensue. And this caused oil to say, oh gosh, we're not going to drop as much as we thought, so we're going to jump up from here.
The average price for diesel fuel fell 2 cents to $3.24. Some retailers are installing blue lights in their bathrooms to discourage people from injecting themselves with drugs by making it more difficult to see their veins. Turkey Hill Minute Markets in Pennsylvania is using the lights in as many as 20 of its stores in hard-hit neighborhoods. The chain is taking part in a research project into the lights' effectiveness. More details at srnnews.com.
There are a ton of social networking websites, but one stands apart for a very special reason. This one saves lives. It's MatchingDonors.com. MatchingDonors.com links organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. In the U.S., 19 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant, most of them for kidneys. If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you have someone in need of an organ transplant, visit MatchingDonors.com. Home of the greatest gift of all, the gift of life. MatchingDonors.com.
Fix the immigration system. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump sounding off on immigration. The president tweeting, "Our system is laughed at all over the world and is very unfair to people trying to come here legally."
This past week, Congress voted down a hard right to some people, a conservative bill, the Goodlatte bill. Then they delayed a vote twice on a compromise bill. They are supposed to vote on that compromise bill this week.
Fox's Ellison Barber at the White House. The administration also announcing steps to reunite more than 2,000 children separated from their parents after illegally crossing the border. The effort includes building better databases, linking the parent and children's information and their whereabouts. House Republicans pressing the Justice Department for more documents related to the Russia investigation.
A letter to the Justice Department from the House Intel Committee Chair Devin Nunes says the documents submitted are too few and raise more questions than answers. They've given DOJ until close of business Monday to comply fully. House Judiciary Committee Chair Bob Goodlatte on Fox's Sunday Morning Future says even then, that may not be all the leadership desires.
They still have a ways to go, and as this investigation proceeds, there are going to be more things that we identify that we want.
GOP leaders want documents that show if there were spies in the Trump campaign in 2016, how many there were, and how much was spent on the alleged plan.
Fox's Gernal Scott. 5 more years for Turkey's president. Recep Tayyip Erdogan winning another term, this one with sweeping new powers that critics say could result in a one-man rule. 2 San Diego police officers shot while responding to a disturbance call at an apartment complex are expected to recover. The suspect found dead after getting into a shootout with the responding officers, but it's unclear if the gunman took his own life or if police killed him in the shootout. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Are you hiring, posting your position to job sites and waiting for the right people to see it? ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way, so they built a platform that finds the right job candidates for you. ZipRecruiter learns what you're looking for, identifies people with the right experience, and invites them to apply to your job. These invitations have revolutionized how you find your next hire. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. And ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. They even spotlight the strongest applications you receive so you never miss a great match. The right candidates are out there. ZipRecruiter is how you find them. Businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. Right now, our listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/newscast. That's ZipRecruiter.com/newscast. ZipRecruiter.com/newscast. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The campaigner-in-chief. President Trump hitting the road to stump for South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster.
President Trump will visit Columbia, South Carolina Monday, the day before McMaster's showdown with Greenville businessman John Warren, a political newcomer who's gained popularity since joining the Republican primary race just 4 months ago. The president is making his second campaign trip for the governor, and his visit comes just a few days after Vice President Mike Pence traveled to South Carolina to stump for McMaster. The visits are McMaster's reward for being the first statewide elected official in the country to back the president's 2016 presidential run. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
McMaster replaced Nikki Haley after she resigned to become UN ambassador under the Trump administration. It hasn't happened in nearly 4 months. Gas prices going down for a change, 6 cents to a national average of $2.95 per gallon, according to the Lundberg survey, which tracks prices nationwide. Dinosaurs stomp the competition at the box office.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom surpassed expectations to open with $150 million in ticket sales this weekend.
This is the most dangerous creature that ever walked the earth.
The film stars Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, daughter of Ron Howard. In second place, Incredibles 2 with $80.9 million.
We need to change people's perceptions about superheroes, and Elastigirl is our best play.
Better than me?
Coming in third, Ocean's 8, Tag in fourth, and Solo, A Star Wars Story, was fifth. Debbie Hanley, Fox News.
Roseanne Barr says she feels remorse for the racist tweet that killed the reboot of her sitcom. Barr in a podcast interview saying she would never have wittingly called any black person a monkey. The actress became a social media pariah after calling former Obama administration official Valerie Jarrett an ape. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
the game doesn't stop.
Neither should you.
Wherever you go, the game goes too using the enabled FM chip in your phone and the Next Radio app.
The Next Radio app brings real FM radio to your phone.
Just plug in your headphones and listen to the Next Radio app, and you'll save major data and battery life compared to streaming apps. Download the free Next Radio app today.
Next Radio, live and local, wherever you go.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Sunday, June 24th, 2018. Silver's trading at $16.46 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,269 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $16, and the average price of Bitcoin is $5,930. Antiwar.com reports officials from the Saudi and UAE-led coalition attacking Yemen's port city of Hodeidah are promising a comprehensive plan that they say will both protect civilians from undue casualties and ultimately provide aid to the population after the city falls. This mostly involves dropping leaflets telling the population not to resist, though the UAE officials say that truckloads of aid from the southern port of Aden are being sent north to Hodeidah to feed people in captured territory. Ironically, Hodeidah is the main aid port into Yemen, though the offensive is making aid deliveries difficult. Coalition officials say they are prepared to repair the seaport in Hodeidah after they capture it if the rebels have destroyed it. This is clearly not going to happen, of course, but Saudi warplanes have destroyed parts of the port several times during the war, and it's entirely likely that as the fighting gets deeper into the city, these airstrikes will do even more damage. Hodeidah's civilian population isn't taking any chances, though, according to international officials. As the offensive moves away from the city's outskirts and into populated areas, more than 30,000 civilians have already fled, with large numbers more to follow. Many are fleeing to the capital of Sana'a, but in practice, most are just fleeing wherever they think they can escape the fighting. Given how limited aid supplies are in northern Yemen, anywhere is risky for the civilians to flee to. Malnutrition is common everywhere, and if Hodeidah falls, much of North Yemen will have no source of food at all. UN officials have openly warned of a famine in that event.
FPP Radio News is brought to you by Bitcoin Not Bombs. Bitcoin Not Bombs is a launching pad for nonprofits and social entrepreneurs into the financial freedom of the Bitcoin economy. Bitcoin Not Bombs offers premium publicity campaigns designed to facilitate an organization's adoption of Bitcoin as a payment system and to fully capitalize on that decision in their fundraising efforts. To learn more, visit bitcoinnotbombs.com.
UPI reports Apple has started a free keyboard service program to fix flawed MacBook and MacBook Pro computers. Apple acknowledged a keyboard flaw in what it said was a small percentage of its MacBook and MacBook Pro models in its free keyboard service program announcement on Friday. This may include letters and characters repeating unexpectedly, letters or characters not appearing, or keys getting stuck. The online Apple discussion thread has showed that some users have reported an issue with the butterfly keyboard design since last year, with complaints mounting in recent months. Users reported some of the keys get stuck when dust is lodged underneath the keyboard. Apple offered the repair service free of charge through authorized Apple providers. The announcement follows a federal class action lawsuit filed against MacBook or MacBook Pro for the defect last month in Northern California. The 44-page suit accuses Apple of failing to notify customers about the threat of non-responsive keys and accompanying keyboard failure. Earlier this year, Apple offered a free battery replacement on certain MacBook Pro laptop models following problems that caused some batteries in October 2016 and October 2017 models to expand.
For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders said on Saturday that she had been asked to leave a Virginia restaurant the night before because she worked for President Donald Trump. Sanders said on the official press secretary Twitter account, "Last night I was told by the owner of Red Hen in Lexington, Virginia to leave because I work for @POTUS, and I politely left." On Saturday, the owner of the Red Hen confirmed the incident and said she stood by her decision to refuse service to Sanders. The Washington Post reported that Stephanie Wilkinson said, "Absolutely yes, we just felt felt there are moments in time when people need to live their convictions. Several thousand people have posted messages of support and criticism of the restaurant for the move on its Yelp page. Earlier this week, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Christian Nielsen was confronted by protesters at a Mexican restaurant in Washington, D.C. Protesters yelled, "Shame, shame," and it came as the Trump administration defended its hardline immigration policy at the U.S.-Mexico border. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Do you or a loved one have a chronic condition such as diabetes, a heart condition, or asthma? Do you or a loved one have a severe allergy to a certain food, drug, or insect? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you are a candidate for an electronic medical alert watch, the alternative to the traditional medical ID bracelet. An electronic medical alert watch visibly communicates a person's health conditions, drug, food, and other allergies, and other critical information to help make a diagnosis and save a life. Take control of your health. Protect yourself or your loved ones and order an electronic medical alert watch today. Visit www.epill.com. That's epill.com. Affordable, free shipping, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Remember, www.epill.com. That's EPILL.com. ePill.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Janine Herbst. Protests continued in Tornillo, Texas today, where hundreds of migrant children are being housed in a temporary facility. Mallory Falk has more.
People united will never be divided.
Hundreds of protesters stood in the desert sun, including 10-year-old Taylor Salazar. When she heard children and parents were being separated,
I just got really mad because it's not right for kids to be treated this way. They should be treated better.
Salazar and her family drove more than 4 hours to be here. They joined a number of prominent figures, from civil rights leader Dolores Huerta to filmmaker Rob Reiner. Julian Castro, former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, told the crowd to continue pushing for family reunification.
We cannot leave it to chance. We need to verify that these children are being reunited with their parents.
Lawmakers say the Tornillo facility now includes both boys and girls. For NPR News, I'm Mallory Falk in Tornillo.
Several EU leaders held emergency talks today to deal with their migration crisis, saying they made progress, but they didn't come up with a plan. NPR's Soraya Sahardi-Nelson reports that leaves Germany's chancellor in a tough spot.
A weary-looking Angela Merkel tried highlighting issues she and her counterparts did agree on, including the need to stop illegal migration and doing a better job of protecting the bloc's borders. But she conceded an EU-wide policy on dealing with asylum seekers was not on the horizon. Merkel says she will instead pursue bilateral or trilateral agreements on migration. Whether those deals will satisfy her conservative Bavarian allies is unclear. They have vowed to close their state's international borders next month to stop most migrants. If that rebellion happens, the German government most likely will collapse. Soraya Sahardi-Nelson, NPR News, Berlin.
Women in Saudi Arabia are hitting the road after the country lifted the world's only ban on women drivers. NPR's Shannon Van Zandt has more.
Until now, women had to rely on chauffeurs or male relatives to travel anywhere with a car. 25-year-old Leila Albrakian says her day-to-day life has now changed.
Hopefully, I'll drive every day to work, and by the couple of next month, I'll buy my car, inshallah.
Allowing women drivers is part of an effort by Saudi Arabia's young leader, 32-year-old Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, to open the deeply conservative kingdom. He wants to shift Saudi Arabia's economy away from a reliance on oil and make it attractive to foreign tourists and investors. But the prince's campaign of liberalization does not allow for dissent or protest against the government. Last month, several women's driving activists were arrested. Shannon Van Sant, NPR News.
Asian markets are trading lower at this hour. The Nikkei, the main market in Japan, is down about 0.3%. This is NPR News. This week, the barbershop Harmony Society invited women to be full members of the organization for the first time. Blake Farmer of member station WPLN reports the Nashville-based Singing Association says the decision is part of a more inclusive vision.
Throughout its 80 years, the Barbershop Harmony Society has been unapologetically male.
True lovers often must part.
But CEO Marty Munson says he's embracing where the throwback singing style is headed to mixed gender groups. And much like the Boy Scouts have given flexibility to individual troops, barbershop chapters can remain all male, organize as female, or combine.
We think all three can coexist at the same time and be supported, but we will lose some, and we'll feel really bad for that.
Munson says the decision to go co-ed is not meant to compete with women's barbershop organizations, but it does come as membership has fallen by half to around 20,000, lower than the all-female Sweet Adelines. For NPR News, I'm Blake Farmer in Nashville.
At the weekend box office, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom opened in first place with $150 million. And that gives Hollywood its first back-to-back $100 million plus openings in a non-holiday period after last week's $182 million opening for Incredibles 2. That movie from Pixar slid to second place this weekend with $80 million. In third place, the female-led heist film Ocean's 8 brought in $11 million, crossing the $100 million mark domestically. This is NPR.
Hey, it's Steve Harvey here for the Illinois Broadcasters Association. And in a recent survey, the Illinois Emergency Management Agency was asked to name the top 5 items that every Illinois family needs to have in their home's emergency disaster kit. Check out these answers. Water, can't live without it. Number 2, non-perishable food. Well, after all, a man gotta eat, right? Number 3, weather radio, and make sure you got fresh batteries too. Number 4, flashlight. Even more reason to have fresh batteries on hand. Number 5, first aid kit. Look, there's no reason to feud over what items to put in your family's emergency disaster kit. Get the answers and more at ready.illinois.gov. That's ready.illinois.gov.
Sponsored by the Illinois Emergency Management Agency, aired in cooperation with the Illinois Broadcasters Association and this station.
From CBC News, The World This Hour, I'm Jasmine Seputis. President Donald Trump called for the deportation of illegal immigrants in a tweet today, and he said it should be done without judges or court. Still, the U.S. government says it's working to reunite migrant children with their parents. They were separated under Trump's zero-tolerance border policy. Children were taken from their families and brought to facilities, in some cases hundreds of kilometers from their parents. Paul Hunter has more from Washington.
Before Trump reversed himself on family separation, a little over 2,000 children had been taken from their families. So indeed, the question for them is, now what?
We don't know adequate answers to some of the most simplistic questions about the children who've been separated from their parents at the southern border. Answers to where the children have been placed, how many there are, who's watching them, all remain elusive at this point.
Chuck Schumer today with his bottom line that the issue needs to be addressed. It, meanwhile, continues to dominate the conversation in this country. But again, for all the talk about what to do and how to do it and sympathy for the children, Donald Trump supporters remain lockstep behind his approach.
Paul Hunter in Washington. Canada's first peacekeeping mission in well over a decade is in Mali. The West African country is dealing with unrest and Islamic extremism. Canadian troops have started to arrive. The deputy force commander of the UN mission, Senegalese Major General Amadou Kane, says it's a dangerous mission.
Armed groups have shown their willingness to hamper the peace process. By all means, we don't have the intelligence at real time. This is a problem. If Canada can provide assets to get the information at real time, I think it's easy to defeat the attacks.
Canada's one-year commitment will be focused on medical evacuations and aerial support. A Spanish aid group that has rescued migrants in the Mediterranean Sea says 7 boats with about 1,000 migrants are in need of rescue off Libya's coast. Italy says it doesn't want foreign charities to intervene. Proactiva Open Arms said in a tweet that the Italian Coast Guard, who coordinates rescues, told the group, "We don't need your help." Police in Toronto are investigating 4 murders in less than 24 hours. Among the dead, a woman sitting in her car when gunshots rang out. CBC's Natalie Nanowski reports.
Surveillance footage shows a gray Cadillac SUV circling a building, then pulling up to a sedan filled with 4 people and firing a weapon. 31-year-old Janice Nyarko was shot and killed with a single bullet. Police say there's nothing to indicate that Nyarko or anyone in the sedan was the target. Police are saying, though, that it appears the suspects in the SUV wanted to shoot at something in the neighborhood. Nyarko's death is the 4th in the city in less than 24 hours and demonstrates an increase in gun violence in the last year. Still, Police Chief Mark Saunders says there's no reason for the public to be alarmed.
You know, I certainly understand the public's concern. This is still the safest urban city. When you look at our numbers, 4th largest in North America, 2.8 million and growing, we're incredibly safe.
Saunders is urging anyone with information about the 4 murders to come forward. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
In entertainment news, the dinosaurs still rule the box office. Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom surpassed expectations to open with an estimated $150 million in ticket sales in Canada and the U.S. this weekend. While that amount didn't match the record-breaking debut of 2015's Jurassic reboot, it proved the franchise is still popular among moviegoers. And that is your World This Hour. You can listen to us live on your mobile device using the CBC app. For CBC News, I'm Jasmine Seputis.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13.
We took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
Fantastic finishes. I'm Jeff Nathanson. We start in baseball. The Blue Jays and the Angels. Pretty good show. It's over now. Blue Jays beat the Angels in 10 innings. Kendrys Morales, a pinch hit home run for Toronto in the 10th inning to win it for Toronto. The Marlins have just defeated the Rockies 8-5. The final there. Big game for the Marlins. Derek Dietrich. Double home run, 4 hits in total. Marlins win it 8-5. The Giants' Hunter Pence had a big game-winning 2-run double in the bottom of the 11th inning. Giants beat the Padres 3-2. Just about to start in just a couple of minutes. It's the Phillies and the Nationals. Just the 1 game left tonight. Earlier today it was the Reds over the Cubs. That's right. Again, it happened Friday. It happened Saturday. It happened today. Reds 8, Cubs 6. Chicago gets swept out of Cincinnati. Manager Joe Maddon of the Cubs not happy about the weekend.
They definitely have played much better. Cincinnati has. They've deserved to win all 3, and we have to do a better job, obviously. Our pitching wasn't disarray today, and they took advantage of it.
For all the baseball scores, go to NBCSportsRadio.com. Let's go to soccer. The FIFA World Cup results from today on the pitch. England over Panama, 6-1 the final there. There was a draw, 2-2 between Senegal and Japan. Colombia shut out Poland, 3-0. Monday's lineup includes Saudi Arabia taking on Egypt, Uruguay taking on Russia. Iran faces Portugal, and Spain will battle against Morocco. In golf action today, Bubba Watson, a final round 63. The lefty wins the Travelers by 3 shots. Auto racing, it was Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 winning at Sonoma. Kevin Harvick second in that one. And in the NHL, the Capitals have re-signed defenseman John Carlson, 8 years, $64 million. This is NBC Sports Radio.